Hello all. This session is going to be on the data types and default properties which is available in Tableau. We are very much aware about the different types of data types. Maybe in another programming language, you could have come across various kinds of data types. And in Tableau also, the type of data type that we are going to see is almost similar. Probably you might be feeling that it's a kind of refreshment that we are doing with respect to data types. So let's get started with the data types. First of all, what is the meaning of a data type, or why do we require a data type? Imagine that you are meeting some stranger. Okay, so the stranger is basically a person. So you do not know any information about the stranger. Just by looking into the stranger, can you come to a conclusion about what sort of a person this person is going to be? Maybe this person is a moody person, or maybe it's angry person or a happy person. We cannot come to any conclusion about this person just because this person is a stranger completely. So this thing could even happen to a data which is coming inside a Tableau also. Because for Tableau, any data which is getting inside the Tableau is like a stranger getting inside the environment, right? It is not only for Tableau, any kind of data processing in system if you take, or a management system if you take, any kind of data which is going to get inside the platform is a complete stranger to the software. All right, so how does the software will identify this particular person, right? So that's where the necessity of your data type comes into play. Okay, so instead of a person, now what you will have is this person is going to be, this photograph is going to be replaced with a label. The label is what you see it as a person. So this is what you will see in your database management system, or in your Tableau, that's what you will see. So as soon as I see person, you should understand whether it is going to be a name or ID or something I need to understand, right? So that is what you call it as a data type. So generally, the reason why we are having something like a data type in our systems is because you wanted to know the value which is associated with the corresponding data. Only if you know the value which is associated with that corresponding data, you can come to some conclusions about that particular data. So the same example, if you take, the stranger is a happy going person, you will get to know if the person smiles, right? So the person smiling is the value associated with the person data. Okay, so you can take a decision about that person only if you get to know something about that person. Similarly, any kind of values which is associated with the data should be known to us, because that is the one which is responsible for making us to take right decisions at the right time. Okay, so these are the reasons why we are having something called as a data type. Okay, so simply, if I have to tell you what is a meaning of a data type, means data type is something which is going to characterize your data. So more formal definition of data, what is the meaning of a data type? Something which is going to characterize the data. As much as Tableau is concerned, you have 7 primitive data types, which you find it in other systems also, the same type of data types. Okay, so now what you need to know is that, so these are the symbols which is available. So each of these symbols is associated with a data type. Okay, so just to go to our Tableau environment, just I'm going to my workbook. So once I'm in my workbook, so now, yeah, let us take the same example of our data source, that is the sample data source which is available. We are just connecting that. See, as soon as I have connected this, these are my fields, right? So these are the fields which I'm talking. These are nothing but the data. So now I need to identify what type of data is this. I can identify what type of data just because of the value it is holding. So name. So it will be having continuous values of name, right? So let's put this here. Okay, so you can see that there are some values which will get displayed for this. See here, so there are the names. Okay, so by looking into this only, I'm getting to a conclusion that this particular data type should be an string. So the small icons which you see here, right? So these small icons is what is defining your data type. Just remember this part. Now let's get into our environment. Okay, so this is what is the 7 data types which is available in your Tableau, and these icons which I showed you shortly is going to tell you what type of data type is associated with each of the data which is available, each of the field which is available in your Tableau environment. So when you see an icon like capital A with a B and C, this means that this icon denotes a string data type. Okay, so string data type, and then this one, as you can see, the picture itself is giving you an indication that it is a date kind of data type, and this is date and time is there, so that is of course equivalent to a date and a time. And this hash is something which you will be using it to denote a number, right? So you wanted to write your house number, you generally start with this hash, right? So this again denotes your numeric data type. Just for you to remember, I'm just telling you. And this one is true or false. Naturally that will be a Boolean data type. And there is a globe here. Globe means complete map is there, so maybe this is associated with a geographical value. And the final one is supposed to be your cluster group. Okay, so that's these are the 7 primitive data types which is available with your Tableau. Now let us look into each one of these data types in a short manner. Okay, so now how do you identify a string data type? I showed you an example, right? If you take a customer name, the customer name consisted of only names, meaning the data is going to be, the data's value is going to be a combination of text. Okay, so whenever you are dealing with a collection of a text, when the value of a data is going to be a collection of a text, you consider that corresponding data type as a string data type. As much as string data type is concerned, you have 2 categories. One is your character string type, and then it is your varchar string type. So what is the difference between this character string type and varchar string type is that always character string type, the values of this particular data will be of a fixed length. Okay, so say for example, you're writing character of 10. This is what is the size which you're defining for accepting the text. So you can give 10 letters, anything lesser than that. And if you try to give anything more than that, then you will not be able to accommodate that. Then it will start showing you an error. Okay, so generally we will use this to store your alphanumeric data values. Similarly, if you take a varchar, you can have you can have a variable character length. So each of the length of the characters is going which is going to be entered in the string is not going to be fixed or predefined. Okay, you can enter as many characters as you want without any memory location restriction. Okay, so that's the difference between character and the varchar types. So any data which is going to take which is having the value in the form of a text. Text is nothing but a combination of letters. Then you correspondingly, you consider that corresponding field as a string data type. Okay. So the next one is, of course, your numeric data type. So numeric data type, as the name denotes, the data is going to be associated with a value which is of the type numbers. So you can have, in our sales data type store itself, if you see here, there is something called as an order ID. Okay, so but then order ID here, it is a text format. Okay, so now if you have if you click on discount, okay, so now you can see what are the values which is there in my discount. Okay, so you can see that there is an floating point value which is associated, which means a number is associated. Correct. So under those situations, you will make use of a data type which is of the type numeric. Okay, again in numeric you have two types. One, you can hold an integer or otherwise a floating point number. As I showed you right now, for the discount, the associated data type was a floating point one. All right, then next one what we have is of course our date, and then date, it's a date and time data type. Basically there's a typo there, it's a date and a time data type. Okay, so how do you any data which is going to have a value in the format of date, then it has to be assigned with a date and a time format. Okay, as much as Tableau is concerned, all formats of date time are accepted. So what is the meaning of all types of date and format are accepted means, it is nothing but yeah, it is nothing but, let me just share my whiteboard. Okay, so what is the meaning of all formats of date and time are accepted means, see, you can give the date as, you can give it as 21/6/2012. Okay, so in what way I have given? I have given it in the format of date, month, and then year. I have given it. This format is accepted. Or you can give 6/21/2012, which means I have entered in the format of month, date, and then year. So this format is also acceptable. Okay, some fields can contain only a date value, or it could actually coexist along with the time also. Okay, like how do you have your timestamp? Likewise, you can get associated with a time also, and you can have your date data type. Okay, so the time data values could be decade, year, quarter, month, day, hour, like this it will be there. Okay, and also there is a possibility that you can add a data value in the form of a string also. Okay, say for example you wanted to store it as 21 July 2012, like this you wanted to store your data, you can always do that. But before that, you just add a hash value. Okay, just add a hash, and then you can store it like in the form of a string, you can do it. But why are we adding the hash is just because of the reason you could remember that there was dimensions and measures that we discussed, and the most of the time the misclassification with respect to the fields could happen, right? So in order to avoid that, probably we are actually associating a hash in front of the a date when we wanted to represent our date in the form of a string. So we can do this also. Okay, so these are the different types of date which is available in your Tableau. You can make use of these data type in any one of these formats. All right, so the next data type is basically your Boolean data type. So the Boolean data type, as the name denotes, always whenever you're performing some kind of relational calculations in the sense, if it is going to be cloudy and raining, then I eat bhaji. If I say like this, so I'm just doing checking a relationship. What is the relationship I'm checking is that it needs to be cloudy as well as rainy, then only I can eat bhaji. Okay, so that's the way, like you always associate a Boolean, either you will find the result in a form of a true or a false. Eat bhaji or do not eat bhaji. Eat bhaji is true, do not eat bhaji is a false. Okay, so this is the meaning of your any kind of relational calculations you perform with any specific data type, and then it is going to give you the result as true or false. Then the corresponding data type that you will be associating is a Boolean data type. Okay, so I don't think so, like in our superstore example we have a Boolean data type. I think it is not there. Yeah, there is no occurrence of Boolean data type here. Okay, however, if you wanted to associate a Boolean data type, you can actually go ahead and do this whenever you are performing a kind of relational operations. All right, then one more thing that I need to say about the Boolean data type is that sometimes the result of your relational calculation is not something which is known to you, which is unknown to you. That time there will be a null value. Okay, so that also should be known. Then the next data type is a very interesting data type, which is your geographic data types. So this is something, these data values are something that you will be using it in a map. Okay, so like you have a country, you have a name, you have a state name, city, region, postal code. All of these things are talking about some location. Okay, so all of these things is going to be given as a geographic data. Okay, so if you could remember in our example, you have a geographic data type. Do we have a geographic data type? So customer name is there. Okay, so yeah, we do not have a geographic data type. But however, if you have a code and then region, if it is there, so that could probably come under your geographic data, and again it will be marked with your this globe symbol. As you can see here, there is a globe symbol you have here. Okay, so this is about your geographical data type. And then we have one more data type, which is your mixed data type, right? So cluster or a mixed data type, this is what you say it. So as the name denotes, the cluster or a mixed data type is going to be a combination of many things. Okay, so one particular field you will not be in a position to say I define that with a single data type. So what you will do is you will just have a mixture of all the data types. So this is what you call it as a mixed data type. So these are the 7 data types which is available in your Tableau. Okay, now that you know very well, what we have done here is that, see, as soon as we connected our table itself, I mean our data, when we connected itself, immediately we got these things. And whatever here it has been there, these are all automatically available, which means that quantity means, okay, it should be a number, so I am assigning an integer numeric data type here. Discount, it should be a number associating a numeric data type. So likewise, these things are something which is automatically done. But all the time, it need not be like, it is done and we need to go ahead with what is there. Okay, it is not necessary. So there should be a possibility that we can go ahead and change the data types in the Tableau. So you can actually do changing of the data types both in your, in the sheet. This is your data pane. You can do it from your data pane or from the data source also. You can do it in both the ways. You can do it. So if you go to your data source, see here you will find this button, right? So once you click on that button, okay, and then after which you have to click on the data type icon of that field. So this, if you click on it, then you can actually go ahead and do the changes. Okay, so here it is showing it for the geographical role, and then what kind of role we wanted to change it, you can just go ahead and do it. Okay, so similarly here in your data pane also, you can just go ahead and do it. So this is going to be simple, like, you just go here and then you just click on it. Okay, so then it is going to it will give you the options like what data type you wanted to change it. Okay, so that is the way you can actually change the data type here also. Okay, so that's about the different types of data types which is available in your Tableau. One more point that you need to remember is that there is something called as a default properties in Tableau. Okay, so let's just understand what is the meaning of a default properties, and then why do we set something like a default properties. So we need to understand that. See, a Tableau actually is very good in terms of figuring out which fields should go where and how it should be used in your data visualization. This is something a Tableau does a fantastic job. Absolutely no doubt about it. But even though it does it, sometimes what happens is that you wanted to add some kind of additional information, which is going to help you to make your Tableau to work more effectively. Okay, so that for that only we will be editing this default properties. Okay, um, so for instance, if I could say you that, suppose if your data source is having a field, that field is given as a profit margin. Okay, so when I say profit margin, definitely this is a measure and not a dimension. Okay, so suppose if I will ask you to sum your profit, okay, so that it might be associated with the total sales revenue. Okay, so now it is important for me to edit the default properties. Okay, because it is going to give a Tableau a clue as to how to use your data better. Okay, so that's why we can change the properties. Okay, so now the point is that how do I change these properties? So just click on it. Find here, you have something called as a default properties. For us, it is not showing any of these properties, but you will have some default properties options. One is your comment, and then you can change the color, number format, aggregation, and then totals. All of these things you can change it. Okay, so when it comes to comment, you can actually adjust your comment option to change the tooltip. Okay, and in color, you can change the color scheme. Whenever you're dragging and dropping, you can change your color scheme. And then a number format, it is just it'll I mean, like, you can actually set the value. And suppose for example, you have a sales data. Okay, and you wanted to set that sales data to currency, and also you wanted to specify the type of currency, you can make use of your number format. Okay, and then aggregations is basically that you will be using it, like, the same example I told you, right? The profit margin, if you wanted to do, and if you want to perform a kind of aggregation, you can do it by making use of aggregation. So the understandability is that, so you can very well go ahead and change the default properties which is available in your Tableau. Okay, and the way to do this is by making use of this one. So now you have your sorting is there. So I just click ascending or descending. That will take care of my sorting, and then I can do an alphabetical manual. Any kind of things could be done. So likewise, for each of these options, we can change your default properties in order to make your in order to make your Tableau to make better visualization. Okay, so that's the demo that I wanted to give you as a part of your data type and the default properties. Okay, so we have come to the end of the session, wherein we discussed completely about the different types of data types which is available in Tableau. We looked into the importance of a data type and how you can associate a type to the corresponding data. And also we looked into how we can change the data type for specific field, and also to change your default properties. So at the end of the day, what we are expecting the Tableau to do is that we are expecting the Tableau to do a better visualization for us. In order to do that better visualization, we are actually assisting the Tableau in setting up the right data types as well as in setting up the right properties. Okay, so that's all I have for this session. In the next session, let's discuss about shells and marks card. So thank you. Yeah.